Guru team, and welcome back. This is the wrap up to DayZ builds, and I wanted to do this because I wanted to go over some of the things that I haven't done. So while you watch me running around having a look at places where I didn't build and wouldn't build, I want to talk about some of the reasons why that might be the case. Clutter, not enough space, too many windows, low ceilings, light fittings. Things that are a bit too obvious as well. Might be a reasonable place to build, but it's a very obvious place to build, or it's very easily spotted. And I went over that in some of my builds. But I suppose while you're looking at that, we have to ask ourselves some questions. I've never really been into the base building. I've tried it a couple of times. I tried it on Cherno and I tried it on Livonia, and seeing as I play solo, it makes it quite difficult, and that probably ties into a couple of things. So we want to talk about that. The first of those is when you're considering any base building, you need to ask yourself some key questions. The first of which is why. Why do you want to build a base anyway? You know, what's the point? The point of most bases, per se, is storing gear, really. You want to have a secure place where you can store gear, and in so doing, you can go out and loot and bring back stuff, and you can have more gear. I suppose you have to ask yourself why you want more gear to start with, but hey, look, that's up to you. And there may be other options for storage of gear. Cemeteries, for example, various other features that you can hide stuff behind. You just randomly go out into the woods somewhere and somehow remember coordinates or a destination, and you mark a tree and you bury your stuff around the tree in the vague hope that somebody isn't going to find it. Because at the end of the day, what do you need all that loot for, I suppose? You know, raiding other bases? Is it the acquisition mentality? That's sort of one of those questions. And hey, look, that's entirely up to you. I'm not saying don't build a base. I'm just saying have a think about why you want to build a base, because that makes a big difference to the next question, which is how are you going to build this base? And by how, I mean, how are you going to resource this thing? I mean, you've seen some of my builds, you know, 40 logs, 300 planks, 1,000 nails. That's a lot of kit. And if you don't have ample space to store that for a start, you're going to have problems. And the second thing is acquiring it. I'm kind of lucky. I'm an admin. I can sneak in some admin powers and magic myself up some logs, no problem. You have to go and chop them all down on official. So that's hard. You know, that's a lot of stuff, and then you got to carry it around from wherever you're harvesting it to wherever you want to build, because you probably want to hide your gear somewhere else and build somewhere else. So when you're thinking about bases, thinking about how you're going to resource this project, that's really a big thing. Which then plays into, I suppose, the final thing. If you know why you want to build something, and you know how you're going to resource it, comes down to the where are you going to build it. And that's sort of some of the things that I have tried to explain in the series. In terms of, for example, I wouldn't build in popular tourist destinations, the police stations, the fire stations, the medical centres. Given that, for a start, most medical centres are near police stations, and police stations tend to be the places that get gassed, or medical centres, so you're going to find yourself probably gassed while you're trying to build your base, even if people don't automatically go to it and raid it anyway. On my server, the White Cloud server, you're not allowed to build in military, you're not allowed to build in castles, so I haven't shown you that. And I've made my opinions on that perfectly clear, so I'm not going to say anything more about that here. So, yeah, where do you want to, and do you want to hide it? Do you want to make it obvious? I mean, the reality is you can try and hide it. Eventually it's going to be found. Are you going to try and be nomadic? Because the problem is you build one base, and then you decide to up sticks and build another base, there's no guarantee that 5 minutes after you build the second base it isn't going to be raided by somebody, because bases get raided. My bases got raided. I've found bases that have been raided. Some of them fairly substantial bases. I've been unofficial and heard bases being raided, and some of those base raids are fairly massive. So if you're going to be doing this, is that what you want to do? It's up to you. So, that's more or less it, I think, really. It's up to you. Go out and play. Go out and learn. I haven't covered every building. I don't intend to. Never was my intention to go out and cover every building. But residential buildings in particular seem quite tricky. Industrial buildings have an awful lot of windows, or they're very popular tourist destinations, which I wouldn't build in anyway. Watch out for low roofs. Watch out for clutter. Watch out for things getting in the way. Watch out for places that are on the way to places. And watch out for places that are isolated farmhouses on a map on iSurvive, because people look at iSurvive and they look at the isolated houses and they go, "Oh, I bet someone's gone and built a house, gone and built a base out there," and that's what they do. So yeah, it's up to you. Go out and have fun. I hope I've explored some tips and tricks with you: how to rotate fences, how to build fences, the kind of variations that you can throw in. It's not a fantastic mechanic in DayZ. I wish it was better. I wish there was more options. I wish we could really do more with it. It's also hard as a solo raiding bases. If you've watched any of my official series, you will have seen me try and raid bases and seen that it does indeed come with particular challenges. So I'm not sure how I feel about it being harder or easier. Obviously, when I build a base and it gets raided, I bemoan the fact that I wish raiding bases was harder. But then when I'm trying to raid base, I bemoan that raiding bases was easier. And maybe that's not the point, raiding bases, at least not for solo anyway. So, I mean, again, comes down to the why. Why do you want a base? And more importantly, why do you want to raid a base? Because someone who's built the base has got more gear? Yeah, possibly, maybe. But maybe that's a series for another time, or a discussion for another time. It's entirely up to you. So I do hope that you have enjoyed the series. If you have, please click a like. If you're only picking this video up for the first time and you haven't watched the series, please go back and watch it. It's an evolution for sure. I've built a lot of bases since I started this series, and I never really was a big base builder until I started it. But as always, I'm glad I did it. I learned a lot of things along the way, and there's some things I'm definitely going to take away from the experience, and I hope you do too. Please click the subscribe button. It really does help my channel an awful lot. And I will see you all again in the real soon. Ta-ta for now.